Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. My guest today has been on the program many times in the past, but never in the situation he is in now. He is State Representative-elect Gerald Watkins, political science professor here at the college. Welcome back.
Thank you, Professor Barry Craig. It's always fun and a pleasure to be on your television show, so thank you for inviting me.
When will you be sworn in?
January 7th in Frankfort, and the session starts January the 8th, so I'm super excited and looking forward to it. I do have to go in December for an orientation session to find out all the aspects of the new job, so I'm really excited about that.
Well, of course, the important question is, can you swear the oath that you've never fought a duel or been a second in a duel?
I can. I can say that honestly and safely.
But your distant ancestor, Henry Clay, unfortunately could not have sworn that oath in truth.
That's right, and maybe that's the reason he never became president, but he did run 3 times, and he did run strong races. If his timing had been different, he would have made it to the White House, so maybe I can pick up the family tradition and carry on.
One of the interesting aspects to me of this, and I know you thought about it, is you are going to be a freshman lawmaker, and one of the more senior lawmakers is a former student of ours, Will Coursey. So is the student going to teach the professor?
He is. He's trying to get me in his office suite and show me the ropes, and that's kind of funny because both Will Coursey and Stephen Rudy were former students of mine.
Mine too. I forgot about Stephen Rudy.
Yeah, and here they are both in the House, far surpassing their teacher years ago at a young age, and here I am, and this old age I am, and I finally get to join them, so it's going to be fun.
Any idea about the average age of the freshman class you'll be in?
I don't know. It's very small. And talking to leadership, it seems like the norm was around 20, 25 freshman House members, and this time I think there's going to be maybe about a half a dozen of us or something. It's not very many. And I don't know what the average age is. I guess one of the good things when you look at lawmakers, I complained to Will about having a late start, and he said, "Hey, look at all these white tops around this room here. You'll be one of the young kids."
So then, what are your legislative? No, let me back up. In most cases, freshman lawmakers they kind of sit toward the back and they keep their mouth shut and their head down and learn. Are you going to do that, or are you going to go up there and make a big splash?
I'm going to go make a big splash. I've been around too long and too passionate to do that. When I got on the City Commission, I had several friends tell me that very same thing when I started speaking up, that, hey, you know, freshman commissioners kind of sit there and listen and learn and don't open their mouths. And I said, well, why'd I run, or why'd I get elected? And so I would feel the same way about going to Frankfort. Once I learn the ropes and the rules and procedure, then I'm off and running. I've got some ideas, some things I want to do that I feel very passionately about that I think would benefit the Commonwealth and Western Kentucky, and I plan on being very active, very vocal, and introducing an awful lot of legislation. So anyway, I guess they need to get ready.
So for better or worse, you're going full bore.
I am. I'm too old not to. I hadn't got time to sit around be quiet.
How about committee assignments? Have you been assigned to any committees yet, or?
Well, we've got the paperwork was just sent out. I got it a couple of days ago, and we get to pick 3. No guarantee you'll get on them, but you put your top 3 choices. Actually, put your top 5 choices, and you'll get 3. Mm-hmm. And so my choice is first judiciary. Second is education, and probably third is state government. I put health and welfare for 4th and transportation for 5th. Those are my top 5. I'd like to get the top 3 in that order if I could.
So who decides?
Leadership, the Speaker and the Majority Leader, Majority Whip, the leadership in the House, Democratic leadership, because we control the House. They will determine who gets what committee assignments.
Well, now, is it okay to call the Speaker up and say, "Hey, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to be on this committee"?
Yes, it is, and I've been advised to do that.
And you have done that.
I hadn't done it yet, but I'm going to.
But you're going to.
Yes, yes.
Well, what do you think your odds are of getting on the 3 you want?
I think I'll get the top 2 for sure, and then I'll either get the 3rd or 4th one for my 3rd committee. One of the, either be state government or health and welfare. I'd like to get on state government because they do redistricting, and that's got to be done in the spring. It will be. So I'd really like to be on that committee. I'm sure a lot of other people would too, though.
Right. Well, let's just jump right in. That's an issue, redistricting. There was something of a problem with that before. Give us the background of the problem, and then how that you Solons, as they used to call lawmakers, wise Solons, how are you all going to handle that?
Well, the Supreme Court, has ruled that within 5% plus or minus, the districts have to be equal, federal and state. And so with the population shifts, and miraculously, Kentucky grew over 400,000 from 20 to 2010 after growing about 3,000 or 4,000 between 1990 and 2000. So we really had a big increase in our population for Kentucky, for our recent history. And so those districts change. People left the east and the west and moved to the central, Bowling Green, Lexington, northern Kentucky growing. So they have to be redrawn, and the Constitution says that you can only cut up the minimal amount of counties, and the minimal is 24. And when they redrew the districts for 2012, 28 counties were cut up. But the real problem was in two districts, particularly, but one was in the state Senate, where State Senator Dorsey Ridley from Henderson was moved up to central Kentucky for his district. So anyway, those type of abuses are what led to the lawsuits, and the Supreme Court threw it out and said, you're going to have to go back and redraw those districts. So we ran again in the old districts in 2012, but it's got to be redrawn in time for the 2014 election. So that means we've got to do it in the spring.
So you'll be running in a different district?
It'll be different to some degree. I don't have any idea what it'll look like, but it will not be the same.
Well, it seems to me that the difficulty here is you have a Democratic House and a Republican Senate. I would hope there'd be some kind of compromise.
Yes, and I'm sure the agreement that was worked out before will be the same agreement, and that is the House will do their redistricting, the Senate will do their redistricting, and there won't be any question or challenge to what they come up with. So the Republicans control the state Senate. They'll do what they want to do in the Senate, and the House won't contest, and likewise in the House. So that'll work pretty good, and I think there won't be quite as much of animosity, if you will, or between the House and Senate this time around. There'll be a new state Senate president, and someone who will probably be a little easier to work with, I think. And
so you're saying that David Williams was not Prince Charming?
Well, he was not Mr. Lovable. I'll just put it like that.
Well, we've talked about this before, and you've told me that some Republican senators have told you in private that they were afraid of this guy, afraid to cross him.
Yeah, he was a big man physically and strong-willed, and he could be dictatorial at times, and he could also be a nice guy, but he also ran a very tight ship, and his personality sometimes just people took it the wrong, not the wrong way, but he made it difficult. Yeah, so a lot of people, I think, and I'm not trying to disrespect David Williams, he's had an incredible career in the state Senate, but I think a lot of people in both the House and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, are glad to see him move on to something different in his career so that they can have a new Senate president and operate a little bit different.
Any thoughts, any scuttlebutt as to who the new Senate president might be?
Well, our own state Senator Bob Leeper has thrown his hat into the ring. He's running for that position, and the Senate Majority Leader, whose name has just escaped me, what is his name? He is running also. It'll probably be, well, I don't know of any other ones that are running. Katie Stein's not running. the Senate caucus chair. So Republicans, she's out. So it'll either be Bob or the other gentleman. And
well, the fact that
forgot his
Leifer's
name.
independent, would that be a strike against him?
I would think so. He does caucus with the Republicans in the Senate, and he used to be a Republican, but
And a
you know,
Democrat.
that's right. But I think it may come down to maybe Republicans maybe want a Republican to be the Senate president, and that may have, I don't know. Bob's a nice guy and well liked, so it'll be interesting, but odds are the other gentleman, the Senate Majority Leader, may wind up being the Senate President. But I respect Bob, and I appreciate him getting out there. I think it'd be good for he and good for Western Kentucky if he were to get the position.
Any changes perhaps in the House leadership?
None that I've heard about. All of them that are in leadership are running again, of what I've been informed of, and they're all very well liked, very popular, and worked awfully hard to help the Democrats retain control. And they were very helpful to me, I'll say that, very helpful to me in financial support and just support in general. And so I think everyone appreciates that, and I don't see any movement to try to topple any of them. I think everybody appreciates the effort they made. So I think they have 100% support from the Democrats in the House. So I don't see any change in leadership on the House side.
Other than redistricting, what do you see as the excuse me, the major issues?
Well, there's, in addition to redistricting, the other two major issues, and a third one will probably come up too, so it'll make four big issues. But one is the tax code. Lieutenant Governor Jerry Abramson is chairing a commission that is to report November the 15th, but it's been delayed a little bit. So. We need to revise the tax code, make it more business friendly and more equitable in Kentucky, and look at ways to have a code that grows with the growth in our economy. And so that's a major thing that I think most everyone's in agreement. We need to revise the tax code in Kentucky. Number two is the unfunded liability for public pensions, which has about a little over a $30 billion deficit, and that's obviously going to have to be addressed. And Mike Cherry, who's leaving as state representative from the 4th District, is chairing that commission, and they are to report December 15th. And I'll be interested to look at the recommendations from both those commissions, and but something's definitely going to have to be done. The big one on the unfunded liability for the pensions is, personally, I'm not going to support anything that takes away from the legal contract that current employees have, whether it be state or local firefighters, police officers, that they have with their governmental units. I think that would be wrong, and that would provoke lawsuits. But obviously the new hires are going to have a different pension plan, which means on the surface they will be retiring at a later age, or they won't receive benefits to a later age. It's just not possible to continue the program as is. But one thing that I think I would like to see is some want to move from a defined benefit program, which we have now, to a defined contribution, more like a 401k. But I think we need to look at some type of hybrid system, because if you move completely from a benefit to a contribution, defined contribution plan, then you have no one paying in to help fund the $30 billion deficit. So then you're in a pickle from that. So I wouldn't be in favor of a complete transformation. I think we need to look at some type of hybrid system.
Well, turning back to, excuse me, the branch of government you left, the new Paducah City Commission, any thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I enjoyed serving on the commission, Barry. 3 terms, 6 years. It was more fun than I thought it would be, and you can do more than one might think. You know, I'm real proud of the things we did while I was on the city commission, the 2+2 agreement with Murray State University, and the incentives that I supported, the rest of us have brought in now over 2,000 jobs, either created or retained, and over $100 million in new private capital investment for Paducah and McCracken County. So I'm real proud of what the things we've gotten done. I think I'm leaving it a good time. It's very sound financially. Our debt is 7.29% of our just the general investment fund, and but really our budget's $49 million a year, and so it's much less, a lower percentage even than that. And Moody's national average for cities of comparable size at 7.91%, considerably higher. We keep an 8% reserve on hand by ordinance. So our rating, credit rating, has increased 2 levels to AA- according to Standard & Poor's. So Paducah's sound financially. We're in good shape, and a new commission's coming on, and so you got Mayor Gail Kaler and Mayor Pro Tem Sandra Wilson, Richard Abraham, Alan Rhodes, and Carol Galt. And you have some continuity, but you have 2 new faces also. You have some very bright, very intelligent, very articulate people that are passionate about Paducah, that love Paducah. It's a very diverse commission, and they will get along good. You won't see any personal fighting or backstabbing or anything. You're going to see 5 people who love Paducah and who want to move it forward even more. And so I'm excited about the prospects for the new commission. I think it's going to be an exciting time for Paducah, and I think we're on the threshold of really breaking out as far as landing some big companies to bring in a lot of job opportunities, and a new hotel will be announced soon at the riverfront. And so it's just a lot of things that are really exciting that are happening right now and getting ready to be announced in the future, that it's a good time for them to come on.
The other big issue on the ballot, the Metro, which went down to a rather large defeat, is that dead and buried?
I think it is. The major force behind the merge says they will fight on, but the mayor at the City Commission meeting Tuesday made it very clear on television that the fight's over. It's dead. We move forward. The city's strong, the county's strong. Enough. It's the voters decided 70 to 30%. There's no need in wasting money, time, capital, energy in trying to revive this and do it again. And the county judge, I understand, basically said the exact same thing at their county fiscal court meeting. So it's time to put it behind us and move forward. The people of Paducah and McCracken County have spoken. They don't want to merge. They like things just like they are. The city's sound, the county's sound. We work together very well. We work together for the 2+2 with Murray State. We've worked together on all these job opportunities. We have merged some parts of government, such as Paducah Water Works, the Joint Sewer Agency, the library, the animal warden's office. There are a lot of things we've already merged, and when we can find services that are duplicative or are being duplicated, and we can bring about some efficiencies by combining, we will do that. But as far as merging the city and county, I think it's a dead issue. I think it's time to move forward and forget about it. Didn't work.
The numbers, have you seen a breakdown as, say, city versus county? Was there much difference in the numbers?
I haven't seen all those numbers, but I was told by someone that I think 40% of the city voters said no.
So it passed in the city?
Yeah, a majority of the city voters said yes. Now that's secondhand information.
Right. So
I don't
60-40
know for sure.
from what you heard?
Yeah. And so, and I don't know what the county percentages were, but I'm sure it would have been 80 or 90%.
It had to have been.
When you have a 20,000+ to 8,000+ vote margin, you know, most all the county said no, and you know, a lot of the city said no too. I mean, not a majority, but a good portion.
Yeah, 70-30, that's up.
Yeah, I think people have spoken. You know, there was a lot of money spent. The issues were out there. No one's mind's going to change in 4 years or 2 years. So, you know, I say, let's move on to something else. We can work together on a lot of things. There's no need in bringing that back up again. It's a dead issue.
Well, moving on to other things, we're always doing this in Kentucky politics. Governor Beshear will have to exit the office after the end of this term. What are you hearing? Because you always hear lots of good stuff. What are you hearing about jockeying for the nomination for governor on the Democratic side and the Republican side?
Everyone's looking, and it's never too soon to look.
Never is.
Not in Kentucky. But here are the possibilities, and then we can look at the ones that are more likely to actually get in it. But you've got Lieutenant Governor Jerry Abramson, who has nowhere to go except for the governor's mansion if he decides to run. You've got Attorney General Jack Conway, who's got to do something different, and he's still ambitious and young. You've got the new Secretary of State, Allison Lonergan Grimes, who's ambitious. You've got Adam Edlin, who is the state auditor and former chief of staff for the governor. Those four, and then you've got Crit Llewellyn, who used to be Governor Patton's chief of staff and served in various state government positions, very knowledgeable state government, and she's definitely running. She told me she was. And let's see, that's 5. And then there's Speaker Greg Stumbo, who is interested, and I think he's, you know, talked to someone about being a running mate with him. So you've got 6 potential Democrats, all very, very, very strong people who are interested. All 6 of them won't get in it because they're all looking at each other and asking the question, are you getting in it? And if you are, will I? I don't know. Let me think about it. So all of those 6 want to be governor of Kentucky. I think the younger ones like Adam and Allison may wait or may look to be a running mate with someone else. I think Crit Llewellyn will definitely get in it. Speaker Stumbo probably will get in it. Lieutenant Governor Jerry Abramson, I'm not sure if he really aspires to statewide office. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he didn't run. He really enjoyed being the super mayor of Louisville for 21 years. And I'm not so sure that, I think he likes local governance better than state, just my personal opinion. So you'll have 3 or 4 very strong candidates on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, you only have one rising star, and that's Jamie Comer, the Agriculture Secretary, and he's being groomed to be governor from the Republican side of the aisle. I don't know if he's awfully young. I don't know if he'll go this time or not, or wait till next time, but I suspect he will be running at some point in the future. If he doesn't, I don't know if any other Republicans out there that are jockeying for that opportunity to run for governor right now. I'm sure some names will surface, but I haven't heard about any in the House or the Senate.
Of course, I personally have never been much of a risk taker, and I think if I were Speaker of the Kentucky House running from a district in which he's going to get elected every time, I'd really give that some serious thought. But I'm not Greg Stumbo. Yeah. No guts, no glory.
That's true. You never know. And he is a very influential, well-respected Speaker of the House and one of the most powerful people in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And yeah, I'm like you. I think if I had that title, I might be inclined to hang on to it rather than take a chance, particularly with a very competitive field.
The way that the election would break out, though, he could run for governor, and if he lost, he could still be Speaker.
He could, with it being an odd year, 2015, right. So he really doesn't lose anything, so that would give him encouragement to probably do so. If he could land an Allison Lonergan Grimes or an Adam Edlin or someone of that stature to run with him, then he might be more inclined to take that plunge. But it's going to be very interesting to see who does get out there, because that's, as we've talked before, and the young, ambitious Kentuckians, they all want to be governor of Kentucky.
They do, and we have talked about this, and you agree, we agree that we would rather be national.
I'd rather go to Washington, D.C.
as a member of Congress than be governor of Kentucky. But that's always been true. That has always been the big prize. Now, your ancestor, Henry Clay, preferred national service to state service, but across the board, if you look, that's the pinnacle of success in Kentucky politics, historically, is being the governor.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, though, part of that, Gerald, was the fact that for many, many years the governor was so powerful, and the governor's not now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. You know, it was a very powerful position, very influential. You could get so much done, and basically, you know, the legislation you wanted got passed, and the legislation you didn't want didn't pass. I mean, you really were a very powerful person in Kentucky, and you can still do a lot of things as governor, that's for sure, but just not as powerful as it used to be by any stretch.
I think the thing, we've talked about this before, is the veto can be overridden with a simple majority.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's almost like, why bother?
Yeah, yeah.
Any thought about, well, of course, I guess the legislature would never give that power back to the governor, the 2/3 power. But all that came about, didn't it, about the time John Y. Brown was governor? That's when the legislature really reared up.
Yeah, he let them. He was elected in '79, and he basically just let them have at it and do whatever they wanted to. So they asserted their authority. They had some difficulty stabilizing that when we had the Mop Trot situation, where I think it was 21 state lawmakers, or former state lawmakers, some of them were, who were indicted for selling their votes.
So Julian Carroll was really the last strong governor.
He was, yeah.
And you'll be up there, you'll see him. He's
That's
an old,
right.
old friend of yours.
I love Julian Carroll. He's in the state senate, and he's as
so how do you address him? As governor, senator, or senator, governor? Or just...
I've always called him governor.
I think you do. I think that title stays with you. I believe you're right about that. But I mean, on the Senate floor, did they does the Speaker recognize Governor Carroll?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to serving with him. I love to listen to him speak. He's got such great old stories and wisdom, and you know, how things operate, and he's just a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and I just think the world of him. And his brother was my treasurer, Neil. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to serve with Julian Carroll.
Well, in the minute we have left, do you know where you'll be sitting on the floor?
I don't yet. I'm not sure.
Would you necessarily get Hausman's seat?
Very possibly, I guess. He's about, it looked like about 2/3 of the way back, kind of in the center, and it would be a good spot. So I'd be glad to take his
You know
seat.
what I find interesting about the state legislature is Republicans and Democrats sit together.
Yes.
There's no one side of the aisle or the other like in Congress. And I understand that's true in most state legislatures, that they're all mixed up in there.
Well, I think it's a good idea. It gives you a chance to build relationships with people on the other aisle, and with a closer numbers between the Democrats and Republicans in the House, we're going to have to work together more closely than has been in the past. So a person needs to be able to reach across the aisle and build alliances from the other party and have some input. One party shouldn't dictate policy anyway, and so I look forward to building some relationships, not just with the Democrats but also the Republicans, also to try to support sound policy. I don't care who introduces it or which party does. If it's a good idea, you know, it'd be foolish not to support it.
We'll have to leave with that, and you can come back and give us a report on what happens as the legislature unfolds.
I'd love to.
I'm Barry Craig. Thank you for joining us. My guest today was State Representative-elect Gerald Watkins. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.